June 21st, 2019. It is officially the summer solstice, the longest day of the year here in the northern hemisphere. And it started out rainy and kind of wet, and it cleared out nice, and the sun came out, and we've had some nice gusting winds, and the air's cleared. It's just beautiful weather. What a wonderful solstice day. Anyway, I just thought I'd do a quick tour update here. Nothing major. I did want to just get these beefsteak tomatoes while they're still early, because they're just starting to hit that explosive growth stage now. And from here out, I'm going to have a hard time keeping up with them. So take a look at them while you can, because they're about to blow up. And you can see I've been reinforcing this infrastructure to prepare for that. I went through and replaced all the every other post that were shorter. We got at least 9-foot posts all the way down now, and I'm going to go back and lock these counter braces in at some point, probably this weekend, and then I'm going to put some wires, probably go every foot or so above the fence line. I was going to do some of this other mesh stuff over here, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to use those for Roma cages like I have over there, except that I think I'm going to do some experiments with some 5.5-foot high or 5-foot high cages and see how that works. Anyway, I know I'm rambling a bit, just always so much to catch up on when I do these tours. Beets are doing really well. I have to get back in and finish weeding and thinning them. We've had rain here the last 3 or 4 days, and I find weeding is just not very effective in the rain. Weeds tend to just reroot themselves. So I've been waiting for a little bit drier weather, which we have coming for the next few days, which is exciting. Ginger and sweet potato are starting to take off. They're recovering from their slight overfeed that they got when they transplanted. And let's see, there is dill all down through here, and so the dill is starting to pop up, so that's exciting. This is purple stripe garlic that I saved from last year, just kind of doing a seed run on that. And these are the first round of aromas that came over. You can see those are really blowing up into robust, healthy growth, and you can see that these stems are super thick and super sturdy. I think these plants are going to be super productive this year, so I'm very excited about that. Been using the Nutrilive package primarily. Also used inoculants, Spectrum Extra, BioCoat Gold, and Biogenesis. And I did some soil prep work with some Sea Shield and Rejuvenate, and some Nutrilive Grow and Vitality. What else? Cucumbers, first planting of cucumbers, those that germed are starting to take off. I went back and replanted in between where they didn't pop off as a replant for a second round to kind of extend that whole production range. Although I have to get back in here and weed on these also, finally the weather is cooperating a little bit more, and these plants are established a little bit more. These sweet Thai basil are starting to really take off, and that's excellent news, because sweet Thai basil makes my absolute favorite flavored pesto. The large leaf basil that I planted in here in a band is all coming up. That's doing well. The rosemary is starting to grow. You can see new tips on there. I gotta go back and clip those so they'll bush out a little bit. Obviously have to weed that as well. Jalapeno peppers are doing well. Orange Hawaiian marigolds are taking off like crazy. I guess I'll just kind of carefully step down over here. And let's see, another row of large leaf basil here. Those are popping. Cumin is popping. This is cumin right here, and here, and here. And then sweet Thai basil down here. Here it is, right here, and here, and here. So when this gets a little bit bigger, I'm going to go back and do a hand weeding, and then I might mulch between them or something. I've decided I'm going to pull some of the leaf mulch from the forest floor down over here. So I cleared out and got ready for that. I'm probably going to go mow that in a little bit. This is the next round of Romas. They're doing really well. Finally starting to take off and hit a growth spurt. Oh, I guess I should mention all these little turd-looking things you see here is alfalfa meal in pellet form. Agway didn't have it in the just meal flakes form the last time I bought it, and I had some left over, and I knew it's been sitting in the barn, and it's not doing my plants any good sitting in the barn. So I came out and put it down before we had the rains. So over the season, that'll kind of soak in and provide some nitrogen and some enzymes and trace minerals and that kind of stuff. What else? The delicata squash are starting to hit their growth spurt, which is really exciting because these will throw out massive long vines from here on at a phenomenal speed. The red empress of India nasturtiums are up and starting to throw out leaves. Bing, 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 all down through. They're doing well. Finally got around to getting the third planting of Romas in. This planting I sowed directly, and the reason I did that is because John Kempf gave a talk at the NOFA Mass 2018 Nutrition Conference. I'll try to put a link in the description for that. And he talked about starting tomatoes in the greenhouse and the transplant shock and the effect that had on yield versus direct sowing. And I thought I would try an experiment, and these were all started in the greenhouse. Those are the same variety as these. So these were direct sown right in the soil, which I did prep with some Neutralive, Sea Shield, all three of the inoculants, and I might have put some Rejuvenate and Spectrum. Well, anyway, I did some soil prep work in here to make sure that the soil was up to par. And then direct sowed them, and that's why you see these tiny little stakes. I went through with my tape and did my rows, and I set the seeds right at the base of these stakes so I could find them when they pop up, because I know the weeds will pop up at least in unison, if not ahead of them, and I want to be able to find them amongst the weeds. As soon as they pop, or maybe even before, I'm probably going to come back and do mulch down through here, just like I have on the other rows. Oh boy. It's a lot to talk about, but there's a lot going on this time of year. I guess I should just briefly mention the beehives are doing well. That middle hive has been cranking the last couple of weeks, so I think they're making some honey. In another week or so, I'm going to pop the covers off again and have a look and see if they're pulling out the comb and putting any honey in those upper deep supers. What else? I guess we'll go on down to the corn, and then I think I'm going to do a separate video on this mulching system I'm working on. Alright, we'll go down to, actually we'll go to the garlic next. Okay, so here we are down at the garlic. Obviously I've been doing some cleanup around here. I took down that old plastic fence. It was not being effective for keeping woodchucks and rabbits out, and I couldn't get in to mow around it easily, and so it ended up being more of a hindrance than a help. I am going to get some good steel chicken wire fence at some point, and probably will re-fence this area properly when I get that. I have to wait on the budget on that. Until then, I'm growing stuff in here that's not susceptible to woodchucks. So I put the garlic in here. The left 5 rows is Red Russian from last year, from the selection of high nutrition garlic. And then all the real tall stuff in here, these 3 rows, is the German white. That's the stuff that I've brought through. This will be the 3rd year of high nutrition. So it came through 2 years of high nutrition with foliar feeds. And I think you can see the robust difference between the two. And again, I know they're different varieties, but if you look back at my garlic experiments last year, you'll see that even under the same variety, massive difference. But anyway, they stand out really well. They're doing really well. They didn't go until springtime, so we'll see how they do. No scapes on them yet. Anyway, they're doing good. I guess we'll just real quick here look at these green bunching onions. Just about ready to pull seed off on these. In fact, probably will pull that tomorrow. I did just kind of a seed run on these, and there's quite a few in here that went to flower, that made it through the winter. And we're going to have lots of nice seeds on them. So that's exciting. And then only one King Arthur, or King Richard leek. King Arthur, that's the pepper. Only one King Richard leek came through the winter in the cold, but it is getting ready to flower, and so will be our third or fourth generation. We'll have to look in the chart on the King Richard leeks in high nutrition. Then I'll do a new planting of those as soon as they're dried and ready to go. All right, that's that. I guess we'll head over to the corn next. Okay, here we have two different plantings of corn spaced about 2 weeks apart. They're being given foliar feeds, drenches, and inoculants at planting, and again at their critical points of influence, and every 7 days in between that. Never too close together, we don't want to overdo them. But these guys just had their 18-day foliar feed, what was it? The 18th. And today is the 21st, so 3 days ago. And you can see they're doing really well. They're very healthy, happy plants. Bodacious sweet corn on this side, double standard on the other side. That's an heirloom variety from Johnny's Selected Seeds. These are the delicata squash, and you can see these have had a little bit more intensive foliar feed. They're quite a bit further along than the other squash that are up in the other spot up there. They were started at the same time. They were transplanted within a couple of days at the same time, but they've had a little bit different feed program. These have had a little bit more robust foliar feed because I've been paying attention to critical points of influence on the corn. And of course, when I shoot the corn, why not hit the squash? There's also a row of borage in here, and I had some buckwheat seed that my mom had given me, but I don't think it was very viable seed because I put it down and it didn't really come up very well. Usually you can see there's a few here, but with the way I put it down, it should be loaded in here and shading the weeds out, and it's not. So I'm going to have to go back through here and do a little weeding and some mulching, and either reseed with buckwheat, or probably at this point I won't, because the squash are just going to take off, and they'll shade out most of the weeds once it gets established. So I'll probably just come in here with some mulch, weed this out a little bit, mulch it, and let it rock. So that's 2 weeks older, 2 or 3 weeks old. I'll have to look at the dates, but it's about 2 weeks ahead of this planting here. And this is the same kind of thing, double standard on the bottom, bodacious on the top, and then direct sown squash here in between, delicata. You can see those are popping up. Not the best germination rate on those. I went with 2 foot spacing. I probably will go with 1 foot spacing and then thin back on the next planting. There's going to be 2 more plantings in here, and the plantings are being divided with a mixture of borage, sweet clover, and sunflowers. Sort of a block cover crop in between. I may come back and scratch these up while these weed seeds are so small. And I think I have some other buckwheat that I saved from a high nutrition run a couple years ago. I may put some of that down to fill in the space here until things get established. Anyway, they're doing really well. I think the next planting goes in tomorrow up in here. So I'll give this probably one more till. The soil I gave a good pre-treat with Sea Shield, Nutralive, Photomag, the trifecta of inoculants, and I believe some Rejuvenate also. Just to really get it set up right. And I'll come back through and do one more till just to knock these weeds back one more kick, and then we'll plant and rock and roll. And then there's just one section left to plant in this corn squash block. I probably also will go back and put some beans in all of these plots at some point. I do have a bunch of bean seeds and I hadn't gotten around to putting them in, and I really do want all 3 sisters in here. So, yeah. So, I think that's pretty much the update for now here on the farm. I apologize if I got a little long-winded. There's just so much going on and so much to cover, and I don't want to leave stuff out. Anyway, thanks for watching the Pharmacy Seeds Network. Don't forget to like and subscribe.